This video will show you how to darken a watercolour background. Now today I'm going to be working on this painting by adding a second background over the top. I did find that the first one was a little bit too pale, so I'm going to show you how to add a second layer of paint to fix the background and make it darker. And because watercolour naturally dries out a little bit lighter, you can see it's too light, not the way I wanted it. I also wanted it more kind of a purpley hue rather than the kind of pinky reddy hue. And that particular one is the one here, which is Indian red. So what I've got is ultramarine violet, Indian red obviously, and also Payne's grey. So how I'm going to darken that? Right, first thing you need is a large brush, size 18, something like that one there, and you've got to wet the background again. But you find, it depends on the paper by the way, you find that when you wet that background, don't scrub it, because if you do scrub it, you'll end up lifting that paint off. Make sure that this layer's bone dry though first, before you do anything like this. Okay, otherwise it will certainly lift off very, very quickly indeed. And then thoroughly wet it, let it soak in that little bit as well, this water, and then you're ready to add another layer of paint over the top. So I'll see you in a minute once it's nice and wet, but soaked in that little bit as well. Now because my board's on a slight angle here, I find the water tends to pool up around the edges. So my board is something like that. And when it pools up around the edges, you'll find the paint just sink into that. So you've got to be careful with that part. So just very lightly lift off some of that water with a nearly dry brush now. Okay, and that's soaked in quite sufficiently. You can see the paper's twisted and warped and cockled, which is fine. I expect that to happen. And then we can start applying the paint. So I'm going to go straight into the ultramarine violet. Are you ready? Let's add this one on. I want it a little bit more purple than the reddy colour that we've got there. But you've got to be fairly swift when you start adding other colours over the top, because it will dry quite quickly as well. It really will. So make sure that you've got your colours made up, ready and raring to go, as I have here. It's quite a bright colour, isn't it, this ultramarine violet? So now I can pop this one in where I want it to go. Look at the difference it's making already. Quite a difference, isn't it? It's really making a little bit more on the purple side. I still want some of this red to show through though. Just kind of vary the way it looks as this goes onto the paper here. So keep working your way down. Just about run out of paint there. But that'll do, I think. That's near enough. And that's changed it straight away, hasn't it? I can even add a little bit more of the Payne's grey in there as well, just to darken certain parts of it up a little bit, just while this paper's wet. Now when you start to see the shine just about disappearing on that paper, then it's time to stop, okay? Try and finish off the area you're working on, but then think, okay, starting to dry, leave it to dry now. And if it's still not right, let it dry completely again before you come back to it and try another layer of paint over the top. But try not to kind of add another layer over the top when it's starting to go off, you know. Because you will get those classic cauliflower marks, which is fine in some cases. And they can be quite effective as well, can't they? But in this case, I don't really want it like that. I want a nice kind of blended background colour. That's what I'm looking for here, as you can very well see. So that's a massive difference to the way it was before. Let's lighten this one a little bit, drag some of the paint off. So you can see the difference it makes just by adding the second layer of colour over the top of very dry paper. Just remember it's got to be dry. So we'll let that dry and I'll show you what that's like in a minute. So we've gone from this, which is way too pale, to this, a much darker watercolour background, which works much better for this painting. If you'd like to find out more about applying different watercolour backgrounds, check out the video to the top right. I'll see you there.